Can you imagine what Brendan Schaub thinks about other MMA fighters attempting to do stand-up comedy? Do you think he would welcome them with open arms, or do you think he would throw some shade at them?
I have more time in the octagon than anybody in the history of the UFC. I've been punched, kicked, and beaten down more than Will Smith's been beaten by Jada.
Well, in this video, we're going to take a look at how other MMA fighters, active UFC fighters, are actually performing their own stand-up routines and getting positive reviews. Also, Brendan's ex-co-host Malik B, I don't know if you guys remember him, he was on a podcast and talked about some problems that he had with Brendan Schaub in the past and also with Bobby Lee. And since we're talking about Bobby Lee, did Bobby Lee have a hickey on his neck on that last podcast episode? Well, I highly recommend you watch the entire video because there is very interesting information and stuff to talk about throughout. So let's get started. I think we completely missed this one, but I think Bobby Lee had a hickey on that last podcast that he was on Whoa Dad, because here, take a look.
I'm going to say something, okay?
Okay.
This is very important.
Okay.
All right.
Too bad we don't have a Zoom.
Here's the problem with older dudes that made it in the business that can't sustain it, right?
Okay.
I only listened to the audio the first time, so I wasn't able to catch it, but thanks to someone else that pointed it out, you can clearly see that there is a hickey on Bobby's neck. Now, obviously, we don't care about that. I mean, good for him, whatever. But there is another angle to this. Ladies and gentlemen, you and I can both agree that unless you are a wild one, usually hickeys are not the best look, and you try to conceal them or try to hide them in some type of way. Unless you want people to see them. Unless you are trying to show people that you have a hickey. Listen, let's pretend it is. If it is, in my opinion, it would be a way for Bobby Lee to show his fans that he still has it. This could be a coincidence and perfect timing, but isn't it interesting that right after the breakup, he went to two different podcasts, two small podcasts, I should add, and interestingly enough, they were both hosted by good-looking female comics. So I don't know, maybe he wants to regain some of the respect that he lost after Khalyla made everybody think that he was.
Can I just be really candid with everybody? This is going to be the first time I ever say it, and he'll never admit to it, but I think that he fantasizes about other dudes being with me, and he gets off on it, and he'll never admit to it.
And now let's talk about your favorite comedian, Brendan Schaub. But before we continue, if you can please hit the subscribe button, hit the like button as well. It really helps out the channel a lot. So please subscribe, and we will continue to post content at least 3 times a week. Thank you. As you all know, Brendan Schaub used to be a UFC fighter before he went all in on podcasting and stand-up comedy. And since the beginning, he has been receiving a lot of hate, mainly coming from comedy fans. However, fans of the Fighter and the Kid podcast liked his chemistry with Brian Kelly enough that allowed him to sell tickets on the road. The thing that the fans didn't like was when Brendan Schaub started doing his own stand-up routines by himself. That's when all the hate started ramping up from comedy fans and from other comics.
Let's take the elephant out of the room. I've always loved you. Yeah. I've always loved you. I've had a great respect for you. Started a podcast that became very successful. One day I'm going through fucking Facebook and I see that fucking Brendan Schaub's doing stand-up at the store, and I go, no. I go, why is he doing this? I don't want him, in my heart I'm like, and I wasn't hating.
No, but yeah.
And ever since then, Brendan Schaub has been receiving negative reviews and comments about his stand-up comedy. Well, a few days ago, the UFC hosted UFC Comedy Jam, and they had 3 MMA fighters doing a stand-up set. It was Frankie Edgar, Sarah McMahon, and Andre Fili. It's an interesting idea, and I respect that. I actually thought they were pretty funny, but I'm not rushing over to buy the fight pass just to watch their stand-up comedy.
I have more time in the octagon than anybody in the history of the UFC. I've been punched, kicked, and beaten down more than Will Smith's been beaten by Jada.
However, multiple MMA articles reported on this and gave them real good feedback. And they obviously mentioned Brendan Schaub writing, and I quote, "I've yet to watch more than the above short clips from any of these young comedians, but as an analyst, I already rate their respective potentials higher than Brendan Schaub. Whoa, straight disrespect. To be fair to Brendan Schaub, the fighters did do it behind a paywall and under the UFC production, so obviously they made him look good. But if they actually try to do what Brendan Schaub did, it wouldn't work out for them because, first of all, they would need to appear on the Joe Rogan Experience at least 85 times, and that's a tough one. I've talked about this in my other videos, but hating on Brendan Schaub has become the new meta, and even big mainstream YouTubers and now MMA journalists are roasting his stand-up comedy. What do you guys think? Can Brendan Schaub actually turn all of this exposure into a positive thing? You know what they say, all press is good press, right? Just recently, YouTuber Nickisgreen made a video about going to see Brendan Schaub live and essentially described his experience and said that he did not like it. Mentioned how Brendan Schaub repeated some of his jokes.
George Carlin rolls in his grave. Then Brendan does this big joke about how the mayor of LA is a piece of shit, and during the pandemic, he was shoving masks down people's throats. But then, one day he was seen taking a picture next to Magic Johnson, and he didn't have a mask on. Brendan sort of sits there and waits for the audience to lose their minds over that fact, but there wasn't a joke, he just talked about something that happened.
Now, shout out to his channel and his content. I highly recommend you go watch him. He has another video on Brendan Schaub that is doing very well. Now, I'm not a huge fan of dissecting Brendan Schaub's comedy, but he did a very good job at explaining his experience with the show, so you should watch that video. Last thing, and something very interesting, was the Malik B, Brendan Schaub's old co-host, went on a podcast and essentially aired out some problems that he had with Brendan Schaub and Bobby Lee in the past.
I mean, everybody kind of knows what we're talking about. We're not going to say any names. It makes you look pretty funny if you're with someone who kind of doesn't know what they're doing.
I mean, you scared to say it. You talking about Brendan?
Yeah, well, the fact of the matter is he's not a comic. He was a UFC fighter who has an audience from that. He was on Joe Rogan a lot.
And it reminded me of a podcast that he also did not so long ago, a few months ago, where he completely trashed Brendan Schaub. It was more recently after he got fired, so he was just trashing Brendan Schaub. He ended up calling out Brendan Schaub and the Thick Boy crew, and also Bobby Lee and his Tiger Belly crew. He essentially has beef with both of them and said that he has some text messages, some conversations that he could expose and show everybody, but that he doesn't.
I don't want to do it. I've been calling enough people out this last couple of weeks, dude.
Been calling out.
I don't know, you know, a big stupid guy with a...
Oh, Brendan Schaub. I've been hearing about that Bobby Lee. And now y'all looking stupid now. Then when all y'all DMing me talking about like, oh, Malik, you vindicated because of Bobby Lee beef.
So it would be a bit interesting to see what kind of information he has. So it's clear that Malik B was aware of the drama, of the beef that was going on between Brendan Schaub and Bobby Lee. And thinking back to the entire drama, the whole situation with Brendan Schaub and Khalyla, thinking back to the entire drama, I think Brendan Schaub might have been right about some things, about some accusations. Now, obviously, this is all speculation. But this is what I'm gathering from the comments I see and the things I see on the subreddits. If you don't know what a subreddit is, it can essentially be described as a fan page. It's a page online that is made by fans and moderated by fans regarding a topic they all want to talk about. In this example, we have the Fighter and the Kid subreddit and the Tiger Belly subreddit. Like I mentioned before, these subreddits are not connected at all to the people they are talking about. Again, they are made by fans and moderated by fans, and that is very clear when it comes to the Fighter and the Kid subreddit, because the entire subreddit is dedicated to making fun of Brendan Schaub and Bryan Callen. If they had any access or any control over that, 100% they would have already deleted most of the things there. When you compare that to the Tiger Belly subreddit, there are a lot of comments, a lot of people that make comments, that post things about other people that get banned and have their comments removed whenever they criticize or talk about Khalyla in a negative way. But when they talk about Bobby Lee in the same way, in a negative way, those comments or those posts remain up. Technically, the Tiger Belly subreddit does not have any connection to Khalyla, but it just happens that the moderators heavily leaned towards protecting Khalyla's reputation. Again, pure speculation. I have not tried that myself. I don't comment or post on Reddit, so I don't know if you post on their subreddit, if you really get removed or not. But from what I see on the comments, that is what happens, which is pretty interesting. And the people themselves say that it is a little bit suspect. But back to Malik, you can tell that he knows what's up. He knows that talking about Brendan Schaub will bring him views and more exposure, but he's also not trashing him anymore. And even though they didn't part ways in the most friendly way, you can tell he kind of feels a little bit grateful, a little bit thankful for, you know, having the opportunity to be on the show and get more exposure and get the fans that he has now. But at the end of the day, he still had a bad experience working for them, working for the man. So he has all the right to express his opinion on that. He mentioned that Mark Harley said on one of his podcasts that the reason why Malik B was let go was because he wanted 50% of the income of the podcast. Obviously, Malik said that that is completely untrue. And in my opinion, it does seem like a bit of a stretch. But again, it could have happened. I don't know. I don't think so. That would be completely insane to ask for 50% of the podcast when it's Brendan Schaub, Malik B, and Chappelle and everybody else in the building. Come on. I just don't think that really happened, but who knows? But yeah, guys, if you made it this far, again, please hit the like and subscribe button. I'm really trying to upload videos at least 3 times a week. Obviously, I'm trying to ramp it up, ramp the quality up and the quantity, but not to sacrifice too much of the quality. But yeah, again, if you like it, subscribe, like, let me know what you guys think on the comments below. Any suggestions are highly appreciated, but see you all on the next one. Peace.